This is what happens when someone walks up to my driveway at night. The driveway camera detects motion, the floodlights turn on, and within a few seconds, I get a notification on my phone. But something else is happening at the same time. Multiple cameras around the house are already recording. The floodlight cameras captures the approach, the front door camera wakes up next, and sometimes the side camera records the same moment from a completely different angle. So over the past year, I decided to run my house entirely on the Ring security ecosystem. In total, I spent just over $600 building this setup. And it's more than just this battery-powered doorbell that everyone knows well. I've got 2 floodlight cameras, a spotlight camera, and this sneaky ninja indoor camera. Today, I'm going to show you what this system is actually like to live with and what you can do to get the most out of it. This isn't just a quick unboxing video. It's a real-world look at what happens when you run the full Ring ecosystem for an entire year. We'll look at the camera placement strategy, how these cameras actually work together, how Alexa fits into the system, and the type of events that these cameras capture. By the end of it, you'll find out whether the full Ring ecosystem is actually worth it or just clever marketing. Let me quickly show you how the system is set up. At the front door, I installed the battery-powered Ring video doorbell. This camera handles visitors, deliveries, and anyone approaching the house. When someone presses the doorbell, I get a notification on my phone and I can answer the door remotely even when I'm not at home. Because it runs on battery power, installation was very simple. There's no wiring or contractors required, just me. Above the driveway, I installed a Ring Floodlight Cam Plus, which is wired directly into my mains power. Floodlight cameras give you the best of both worlds. It's the main security camera covering the front of the property, and because it's wide, it never runs out of power. It also has 2 bright LED floodlights that automatically turn on when motion is detected at night. At the back of the house, I installed a second Floodlight Cam Plus facing the backyard. This area is completely dark at night, so the floodlights really help illuminate the space when motion is detected. And if you already have wiring for an existing floodlight, installing one of these is actually very easy. You essentially get a security camera and floodlight in a single device. On the left side of the house near the gate, I installed a Ring Spotlight Cam Plus, which runs on battery power. This camera fills a blind spot that the other cameras can't see. And finally, inside the kitchen, I installed a Ring Indoor Cam Plus looking out through the window. This allows the camera to monitor the right side of the house without installing another outdoor device. It's protected from theft, it stays plugged in charging, and there's almost no installation required. It's also always monitoring like a fully wide camera, but only showing events where motion is detected. Occasionally, I also move this camera into the living room when I travel so I can see inside the house while I'm away. It can even be used as a temporary pet or baby monitor. The only thing to watch out for with this type of setup is window glare at night, which can reflect indoor light and affect the image. To avoid this, just make sure you switch off the infrared mode, but this also impacts the visibility in the dark. I really love this indoor camera hack. This works for me because I've already got 4 other cameras out there shooting light and capturing footage. It also saves me over $30 compared to using the Ring stick-up camera, which is the outdoor alternative to this. All of these devices are connected through the Ring app, which I'll show you later. And they're also connected to Alexa through my Echo Dot, which acts as a smart chime and announces motion events inside the house. It's pretty cool. I'll show you how all of that works in a moment. One of the most important things I've learned after testing security cameras around my house is that placement often matters more than the camera itself. A common mistake people make is installing cameras too high and often on the second story of a house. When that happens, you usually end up capturing the top of someone's head instead of their face. If you try to zoom in, the image quality drops, and the viewing angle often becomes so wide that important details are lost. After testing different placements, I found that installing cameras around 7 feet or 2.5 meters high is a sweet spot to keeping the camera out of reach whilst also still capturing useful detail. The exception is a doorbell camera. Doorbells should sit lower, usually around 4 feet or 1.2 to 1.3 meters from the ground, so that they can still clearly capture faces and packages at the same time. Another tip is to try and make the coverage all slightly overlap each other so that when one camera's image ends, the other one starts. Each camera focuses on one particular side of the house. On top of this, another feature which makes the system work much better together and which you should try is called linked devices, which pretty much lets each camera trigger the others. For example, when someone walks up my driveway, the floodlight camera is usually the first camera that detects motion. When that happens, it automatically tells the front door doorbell camera to start recording, even before the person reaches the door. Normally, a doorbell camera only starts recording when someone is standing directly in front of it. But with linked devices, the system starts recording earlier. This means the same event can be captured from multiple angles, and you don't have any breaks in monitoring when someone moves from one zone to another. Where the doorbell video finishes, the side starts, until I reach the garden, which is where the second floodlight starts, up until I reach the other side, which is where the indoor camera finishes the job. I also set up a second automation for nighttime. When someone approaches the doorbell camera, the side spotlight camera activates and starts recording as well. And if motion is detected near the side gate, the backyard floodlight camera can activate too, which all creates continuous lighting and recording coverage around the house. It's a simple feature, but it makes the cameras behave like a much more coordinated setup instead of just a collection of individual cameras. You could technically build something similar with apps like Alexa routines or platforms like Home Assistant, but that's going to require much more research, setup, and also technical expertise. With Ring, it's built directly into the system, so everything just works together out of the box. Over the past year, these cameras have captured a lot of everyday movements around the house. One of the most common is package deliveries. When a delivery driver approaches the front door, the doorbell camera automatically starts recording. I get a notification on my phone and I can quickly check who's at the door or tell them where to leave the package. For Amazon deliveries, Alexa will also announce when a package arrives.
One new notification from Amazon Shopping. Your package has arrived.
Another common event is late night motion detection in the driveway. When the floodlight camera detects movement, the lights turn on automatically and recording begins. If a person continues towards the door, the side spotlight camera can activate as well. The sudden lighting alone may discourage unwanted people from hanging around the front of your property. My thoughts are that spotlights alone are much more meaningful at deterring intruders rather than a camera that they can't see. It's also much more useful at night, like coming home and trying to open the front door or going out in the middle of the night to try and get something from your car. One thing I also found interesting was the difference between night footage with and without the lights. When the area is completely dark, the camera relies on infrared night vision. But once motion is detected and the lights turn on, the entire scene becomes fully illuminated. The cameras have also captured animals passing through the yard and occasional movement near the side gate. Moments like these are rare, but it's nice knowing the system is quietly monitoring actively around the house. One downside is that you'll get a lot of notifications if you're working outside, but when that happens, I usually just press the snooze button in the Ring app for a few hours. Also, if you haven't noticed, I'm running a mix of wired and battery powered cameras. In a double-story house like mine, it can be really difficult to run wiring after the construction phase. So sometimes the battery powered cameras may be the only viable option. The spotlight camera has 2 battery slots and the batteries are swappable. A single battery usually lasts around 2 to 3 months in my experience. A simple tip is to buy a spare battery so you can swap it instantly when one runs low. One small regret I have is choosing the base battery doorbell. The Plus and Pro models have removable batteries, but this one doesn't. When I first installed it, the battery lasted around 4 months, but over time the battery has started to degrade, so now I need to charge it more often. If I had a removable battery, I could simply just replace it. After spending $600 on a variety of devices, I have to say that the floodlight cameras are the best option whenever wiring is possible. They combine 2 devices into one and use low energy LEDs that have a soft blink. They're also much brighter than the spotlight battery cam and they never need charging.
Kevin, have you finished yet?
Done. All done. Grass is all cut. Another useful part of this setup is the Alexa integration. All of my Ring cameras are connected to an Echo Dot inside the house. When motion is detected at certain cameras, Alexa can announce it. For example, if someone rings the doorbell, Alexa will say,
Someone is at the door, Louis McDoofus.
which honestly makes me laugh every single time. Alexa can also announce motion from other cameras like the side or the driveway, which is actually really useful because sometimes phone notifications are really easy to miss, and the Ring doorbell doesn't automatically come with a chime. They're sold separately and start from around $35, but it basically only acts as a doorbell chime. The Echo Dot starts from $50 and can act as a doorbell chime, a speaker, and also a smart home controller, all in one. I use one upstairs and downstairs to keep voice activation and alerts all over the house. I've also connected some of these Ring camera events to trigger actions from my ultimate IKEA smart home setup inside the house. But that's probably a video for another day, so subscribe if you'd like to see that. Now, this is what a typical week of events recorded by my cameras looks like inside the Ring app. You can see deliveries at the front door, motion detection in the driveway, activity in the backyard, and occasional triggers from the side gate camera. In my experience, notifications usually arrive within a few seconds after motion is detected. That's fast enough for most situations, although it does depend on your internet connection. Scrolling through this timeline shows how often the cameras are working in the background. After a year of running this system, it's basically become a daily log of activity around the house. There's also a few useful settings inside the app worth mentioning. You can adjust motion sensitivity to reduce unnecessary alerts. You can create motion zones so the camera only detects movement in specific areas. And smart alerts can even distinguish between people, vehicle, and other motion like animals. Most of the time, you don't think about the system at all. But whenever something happens, the footage is already recorded and stored in the cloud, which is Ring's server. The advantage of cloud storage is that footage is saved even if the camera is damaged or stolen. But the trade-off is that the system relies on a stable internet connection to work. The biggest trade-off is to view and save recorded footage. Ring requires the Ring Protect subscription. For homes with multiple cameras, the Ring Protect Plus plan usually makes the most sense because it covers unlimited devices at one address. But over time, the subscription cost does add up. After living with this setup for a full year, here's my honest opinion. The biggest strength of the Ring ecosystem is simplicity. Everything works inside one app, and it's easily the simplest and most polished app compared to other camera systems I've tried. The cameras can trigger each other, Alexa can announce motion events throughout the house, the devices are relatively affordable, they're good, and there's no hub required. For everyday use, the system feels cohesive and is very easy to manage. The trade-off with this setup is the ongoing subscription and the reliance on internet connectivity. If you prefer a system with no ongoing subscription, check out my video here where I look at local storage alternatives. But if you want a connected security system with low upfront costs, strong smart home integration, and something that the whole family can easily use, then the Ring ecosystem is a very capable option. Make sure to check out my Amazon links in the description below for the full setup. And let me know what are your thoughts on the Ring ecosystem. See you in the next video.